Hey girl, Marissa here. You are listening to the Codependent Dummy podcast. As a young woman, you have been raised, reinforced, and rewarded for putting the needs of others above your own. Now, in your 20s, you're finding yourself exhausted, exasperated, and enveloped in shit relationships, especially the one you have with yourself. Codependency is a way of being where we put the feelings, wants, and needs of others above our own in an unconscious attempt to meet our own feelings, wants, and needs. Sorry to break it to you, sis, but that is not sustainable. This podcast is to help you undo all that so you can stop playing small and start taking up space, you dummy. Let's get to it. Hey girl, hey. Welcome to the Codependent Dummy podcast. Today's episode, the Friendship Boneyard. I am Marissa Esquibel, your hostess mostest. And before we begin, let's check in. Let's do a temperature check. In preparing today's episode, I was reflecting on the fact that I check the temperature and weather on my Apple Watch pretty frequently throughout the day and week. And I wonder what that would be like for me to check my internal temperature as often throughout the day and week. Just like, what's the emotional temperature right now? What's the forecast? What am I looking forward to? What am I dreading? What predictions do I have for the remainder of the day and the week? We need to do that as often as we can with ourselves. So take deep breaths. Sense your feet on the ground. Pay attention to how we are feeling, what we are thinking, any needs that need to be met. Today's episode 58. 50 freaking 8. And next Monday, I believe the 24th. Actually, I should look back. It's sometime this month. We'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary. So if we want to be like a happy couple, we should make dinner plans and buy a gift to commemorate our 1 year. I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know. But thank you for those of you new and those of you who have been following for the year. If you are needing some journal inspiration, if you're wanting to be a more conscious and less codependent you can get yourself a copy of the Confiding Codependent Dummy, 30 Days of Journaling Prompts at codependentdummy.com/tools for healing. Also, on the Codependent Dummy website, you can download and get the 30-day self-validation challenge. I provide a script, a calendar for you to track yourself, and it's to help you have an entire month of providing yourself with the validation that you need from yourself as opposed to others, which we codependents tend to do. And it's free. As always, a rating of this podcast, writing up a short review of the podcast a subscribe to the podcast and sharing the podcast. All of those would be much appreciated. And there's a short acronym I just came up with, RRSS. Rate, review, subscribe, and share. Hashtag RRSS. And I'm going to have some tea because my voice is already being my voice. So everyone, just if you have something to drink, take a sip or take a deep breath, look around. We're just getting our thirst needs met. Hydration is so important. So today's episode, the friendship boneyard. It is inspired by The Lion King. For those of you who have not seen it, or to remind those of you who have, there's a scene where Mufasa, Simba, the main character's dad, who's the Lion King, Mufasa, he takes Simba up to this high viewpoint overlooking the land and says, Simba, all that the light touches is yours. And Simba, he points and he's like, Dad, what's that? What's that over there where the light doesn't touch? And Mufasa says, that is the elephant boneyard, and you're not allowed over there. And it literally is just a bunch of remains of elephants. So just this heaping pile of bones. In my preparation for today's episode, there apparently is a real legend that when elephants are older, they tend to go to this isolated place and die on their own amongst the bones of past elephants. So I guess it truly can apply to today's topic, where I want to take the elephant boneyard to the Lion King and argue that, or tell you guys about the friendship boneyard of this codependent queen. Get it? In my codependent past, I have amassed multiple best friends and now have the bones of those friendships lying in a heaping pile where I literally have no contact with them. Those friendships are dead to me because as a codependent, I have been the emphasis on the best friend that anyone could ask for to our relationships, to our friendships' detriment, where on one extreme, I am the best friend anyone could ask for. And then I am no friend. I am dead to you, you are dead to me. I would argue that in general, as codependents, we actually are terrible friends, not because we, on the surface, look like we're terrible, right? We look loyal, we look reliable, available, flexible, safe, and understandable, patient, all of these amazing traits, which we are. And at the same time, being codependent, we tend to put the needs of others above our own. And long term, that does not create sustainable friendships. Thankfully, I have one best friend from high school who, we're coming up on close to 20 years. And I have another best friend from college who I met first day in the dorms across the hall. And so I'm going to talk about one codependent friendship from my early 20s and compare and contrast that with these two friendships that thankfully have lasted and endured throughout the years, because despite me being codependent throughout most of the friendships, these two best friends I have, those relationships thankfully have overall been spared of codependency, of the, I can't remember if I already talked about it, but you guys know I've been reading Adler a lot. And he discusses how when we're codependent, when we're too close to someone, it's like reading a book pushed up to your nose. You can't actually read the book. You can't take in the content. You can't learn anything because you can't see anything. It's too close. There's no utility. You can say that you're reading, but if you're too close, you're not internalizing, you're not mastering anything. It's the same with relationships. If you're too close, you can't actually see anything. And thankfully, these two friendships, these two best friends that I have, we have been spared of being too close. And then, just kind of tossing the book and discarding it. We haven't done that. So more tea. I don't know. It's early. I'm recording early, so maybe it's that too. My little sleepy, oh, I just woke up voice. So the lens we're going to look through today is inspired from Melody Beattie, the former codependent and author of Codependent No More. And I was reviewing her books and the ideas that she's put out, and I was inspired. I just want to say this, and I'm sure I've quoted it on another episode. So here goes. Miss Melody Beattie. I'm not saying codependents are peculiar ducks because they want and need love and approval. Most people want to be in a love relationship. They want a special person in their lives. Most people want and need friends. Most people want the people in their lives to love and approve of them. These are natural, healthy desires. A certain amount of emotional dependency is present in most relationships, including the healthiest ones. But many men and women don't just want and need people, we need people. We may become driven and controlled by this need. And that's from page 99 of Codependent No More. In her book, Melody references family systems theory. Okay, let me define and describe it. And then we will look at systems of codependent friendships. Okay? Family systems theory. Just so you know, this theory emerged from general systems theory. Hold tight, girl. Okay, I know it's like, Marissa, what are you talking about? General systems theory. It inspired family systems because it was found to have many applications to families, friendships, and social systems. Any system is defined as a bounded set of interrelated elements exhibiting coherent behavior as a trait. Stay with me. That is a definition by Constantine in 1986. Another definition of a system is an assemblage of objects related to each other by some regular interaction or interdependence. It's by Webster, the dictionary. Stay with me, girl. Families and friendships are considered systems because they are made up of interrelated objects, aka objects or people. So interrelated people. Families exhibit coherent or united behavior, a certain flow, a certain dynamic, certain routines and patterns. Families and friendships are considered systems because they have regular interactions and they are interdependent in one another. There's a give and take. Systems, i.e. friendships, they have boundaries that can be viewed as open and closed. Okay, so there are open systems, open friendships, and closed systems, closed friendships. Every friendship, every system has ways of including and excluding others so that either they can be described as open, like they allow others and situations outside the friendship to influence it, or it may be closed, a closed friendship where consciously and unconsciously, that system, that friendship isolates its members from others and other interactions and seems isolated and contained. So no friendship system is completely closed or open, but I would argue that most codependent friendships are closed, right? So that's family systems theory as applied to friendships. I hope that makes sense. Okay, we're just looking at objects, right? People within a system, within a dynamic, how they are interrelated and how they could be open or closed. In her book, Melody Beattie describes 4 traits of closed systems. She talks about closed systems, decent amount, that I'm going to connect to friendships. So I'm going to list the 4 traits and then spell them out for you. So first is dependence. Second, total involvement. Third, preoccupation. And fourth, jealousy. With dependence, codependence, and friendships, we use intensity of need and infatuation as proof of our friendship. Total involvement, codependents have limited social life and limited interactions where we tend to neglect old friends and old interests due to total involvement with a current friendship. Preoccupation, codependents are often preoccupied with others and their friends' approval for their own identity and self-worth. And lastly, jealousy. Codependents are possessive. They fear competition and they protect the supply of their friendship, right? As if right, that scarcity mindset that we protect the supply of our friendship as if the supply is limited. So let's look at these 4 traits of closed systems applied to a friendship from my early 20s. And I'm gonna have some more tea. During my freshman year at UC Santa Barbara, I met Jay. We will call her Jay. And it was love, it was friendship at first sight. She was cool, she was put together, and we were fast friends. We ended up, I believe, my second and third quarters taking classes together. We ate at the dining halls together, partied on the weekends. I started smoking cigarettes since she smoked cigarettes. And we'd go to parties. Maybe it was kind of lame. So we'd go out to the balcony and have a smoke. And we were thick as thieves, always together. We took tons of pictures together. Then we post them on social media. And we proceeded to be roommates our second, third, and fourth years. 2 years in our own apartment, so our second and third year. And then our fourth year, we lived on Oceanside. It was beautiful, near campus with 10 other girls. It was crazy. More on that later. And the friendship truly was all or nothing. And it was all for the first 3 years of our friendship. And then it was nothing. Over the summer leading up to our fourth year, we moved into that house. I know I said more on this later, but this is actually later. So I'll just tell you guys how it went. The summer before our fourth year, we did move into this house. And I honestly, I don't know what happened, because when I say it was nothing, it was nothing. She had clothing there, she had her bed there, and I believe over our fourth year, I can count on one hand how many evenings she stayed at our place, because I think she ended up just staying home and commuting to school. And I don't know if she graduated. Her and her parents came and picked up her stuff when it was time to move out. I was not there that day. And she disappeared, basically. Yes, like we texted a little bit. She did come and stay a couple nights at the beginning of the year, but she was gone and I've never talked to her again. This seems odd, and yet I will admit to all of you that this is one of many friendships with a similar narrative. All or nothing as a codependent in friendships, where we are thick as thieves, ride or die, Bonnie and Clyde, Thelma and Louise, and then I don't know you and I don't know what you're doing, and there's zero communication. Maybe I'll try and follow up. Maybe I'll send a text. Maybe I'll call you. Maybe I'll reach out. And also maybe not. And they just, the bones have piled up in my friendship boneyard. Focusing in on the 4 traits: dependence, total involvement, preoccupation, and jealousy. So with J, the dependence, how did I use infatuation as proof of our friendship? When we first met, I was 18, 19 years old. I was homesick. I was gaining weight, navigating the quarter system. Lots of stuff was going on. And I sensed that I remember consciously and unconsciously wanting her to adore me. Thus, she did not actually become my best friend. She became the best friend to the version of me I thought she would love. Very early on in our friendship, I remember trying so hard to be funny with my jokes, charming with my stories, and entertaining as I recalled the debauchery of my previous evenings with her. She had an adorable laugh. I loved her laugh. And I remember working so hard to have it. And I got it, right? I was reinforced. I did sense that infatuation. She would just shake her head and, pat my head and want to hear from me, want to talk to me, want to listen to my hilarious stories. I remember too, I want her to love my outfits. She was really well put together. I remember wanting to really put myself together, my makeup, my hair. I remember strategizing and scheming and dreaming up plans for our weekends. And for St. Patrick's Day, we got outfits and where were we going to go and what were we going to do? And we're wearing matching necklaces and the costumes and the themes, and just really wanting to have, again, that infatuation. But she loved the version of me I thought she would love. I didn't actually like smoking. And I woke up every morning when we would go out and smoke. I've never had a sober cigarette, but I smoked a lot of cigarettes with her when we were drinking. And I felt awful. I didn't want to get pissed drunk every night to then have a funny story to tell her. And really, I was an extroverted introvert who didn't want to go out and didn't know I had a choice and didn't want to lose clout, lose infatuation, lose out with her. So those are some ways that I was really dependent and strived for her infatuation. As I take a sip, I'm curious what comes up for you in your friendships, looking at how you've tried for friendships to either be infatuated and or like you've used intensity of need. That's another aspect of dependence. How have you used the intensity of need in friendship? Next, total involvement. I recall consciously during my first, second, and third years, I didn't go home on weekends as often as I could to visit family, visit friends, in order to hang out with Jay. I wanted to be there with Jay. I did not want to compromise or risk losing time with her. And I will preface this memory that my relationship with Jay was not the only reason I didn't go, but I sense it was one of multiple reasons. I had an opportunity during my first year to visit my grandmother, whose health was deteriorating. And due to my friendship with Jay, I was also really self-conscious about the weight I had gained my freshman year. I was worried about missing class, I guess. I don't know. And other factors weighing in, and I discerned that it was best for me to stay at school as opposed to go visit my grandmother in the ER. So total involvement in the friendship, and it was a factor. Okay, so here I am neglecting my role as a granddaughter, as a daughter, as a sister with my family due to the total involvement in this friendship. I also remember being totally involved with Jay, and thus I would neglect other friends in the dorms and also while we were living together in apartments off campus. I joined groups and clubs and also was not a consistent participant because the choice was go to the weekly meeting or hang out with Jay. I would hang out with Jay. If I had plans with someone else for dinner, if maybe I did want to go out one night, or something similar, I would cancel plans to go to dinner with her, and I might stay in because she ultimately wanted to. And I was isolated. She had a boyfriend back home who lived about 45 minutes away. And when she left, it was awful. Yes, I had people I could reach out to. Yes, I had plans that I could make. And at the same time, my total involvement with her mirrored a total disinvolvement with others, where I felt completely alone, completely vulnerable, pathetic, all because most of my social capital, which I don't actually know what that means, but I invested that in and with her, right? To my detriment, and that it didn't create a healthy friendship if and when every time she leaves, I'm left alone, twiddling my thumbs, sad and waiting for her to come back. And maybe texting and calling her the whole time she's gone. Preoccupation with others' behavior. So preoccupation with her behavior, right? In this friendship, preoccupation with a friend's behavior. I recall our second year, she was having a hard time with her mental and emotional health. And I schemed and plotted and thought through and found resources and became preoccupied with how I could help her feel better. We lived in an apartment, just the two of us, and our landlord company, I speak English, but I can't remember what the leasing office, they were very clear that we could not have dogs. And Jay was feeling sad. She was having a hard time. And she came to our place with a very cute dog. We were not allowed to have a dog. We both knew we weren't allowed to have a dog. And yet I allowed her to have this dog in hopes that it would help her feel better. We had to hide the dog. We had to take him out strategically. We were worried because the leasing office did they rented out a lot of buildings to multiple students. So I believe they would have staff come and walk up and down the apartment rows to make sure there wasn't too much trouble going on. And it was not a good decision. It was not good for our credit with the office, for our security in having housing. I believe the dog pooped and peed inside. And he was also highly anxious. So whenever she left, I would have to take care of him too. It was a mess. It was a really bad idea. And I allowed it. And yeah, we did. We got caught. I don't think we had to pay a fine, but we definitely got a slap on the wrist. And she then gave the dog to stay. I believe he stayed with her boyfriend. But in my preoccupation with her and helping her feel better, then I became preoccupied with this dog and how we'd avoid getting in trouble, all the while neglecting preoccupation with myself and with my other relationships. Mind you, I was struggling with my own emotional health at that time, but that was not the priority. I also, in preparing for this episode, I remembered how our second year, she was dating 2 to 3 guys at the same time, and none of them knew. Excuse me. And it was a big task to juggle those 3. And I, again, was preoccupied with her behavior, her mental health, and how she could navigate these 3 relationships. And they would come and visit, and I would not mention the other 2. I would help her in her lies because I was dependent on her approval, her infatuation to feel good about myself. If I felt good about myself as a friend, apparently I felt good about myself. What comes up for you reflecting on preoccupation with your friend's behavior and being dependent on their approval for your self-worth? And lastly, jealousy. Let's take a sip and then we'll discuss jealousy. fearing competition and protecting supply. With Jay, I consciously and unconsciously wanted to be her one and only. And I felt threatened by her friends back at home. I felt threatened when she met some cool girl in class. And I remember sensing that if she's paying attention, spending time with, being infatuated with others, and it was other girls, like other girl friends, then that means I'll have less love, less infatuation, less time as her friend. And it wasn't the same for her. I could go out and she didn't mind. I could go home and it didn't seem to bother her. I could meet some guy and she was excited. So the disparity, the distorted, the uneven clinging that I was giving in the friendship was met with her calm, cool, casual attachment. And she could be a poor friend, right? When she was struggling, when she's juggling these guys, when she's bringing a dog home, and the need to possess me, to monopolize her friendship with me, it was not the same. There was, a definite difference in power in the friendship. I don't think I could have brought a dog if I was struggling. I don't know if she would have tolerated me dating 3 guys and everything that came with the insanity of that. And I don't sense that I could have disappeared without consequence. So lots of jealousy, fearing competition, protecting the supply, and doing what I could to maintain my monopoly on her friendships. Like I said at the beginning, this has happened in multiple best friendships that I likely will investigate, explore, share about in upcoming episodes, since they are all similar and yet unique. So I hope that by discussing them, you guys will learn and be able to reflect on your own friendships. But I want to give a brief summary to help normalize this phenomena, to provide comfort and reassurance if this is also your experience, and to deconstruct any pedestal you guys have me on for being this perfect, sane, healed former codependent. I know I've done a lot of work. I know I've talked about a lot of striving and healing I've done. And yet I was exactly where you are right now. I've been there, I've done that. And the work is about doing the work and continuing to do the work. I digress. So after Jay, I had actually kind of during Jay, we did have another best friend. She wasn't as close with us, but I was pretty close with her too. And I no longer talk to her. After graduating, I had a male best friend, we'll call him C. And I asked him tearfully to be a bridesman in my wedding. He agreed, and I was there for him through a lot. And he disappeared a few months after I asked him to be a bridesman. So he was not in my wedding. Our friendship didn't make it that far. But yeah, we were really close for years, and he went MIA. I haven't talked to him. I had another best friend while I was becoming a therapist. And once I left the company that we worked at together, I stopped reaching out to her because I felt like the relationship was uneven and distorted, where I was making most of the effort. And I didn't tell her that I was doing that. And she didn't reach out. And yeah, we haven't talked in years. And lastly, even as close as 2021, I had a male best friend. I called him my work husband. We were impacted, our friendship, by COVID and quarantine and the strain that put on some friendships. There were some issues that I brought up poorly and didn't bring up others. And we just slowly stopped talking to each other. And in all of these friendships, there were aspects of these 4 closed system traits: dependence, total involvement, preoccupation, jealousy. I would add control to some of the other ones, not so much with Jay, but I have been a very unsolicited advice giving, controlling, codependent friend, right? Just thinking I know what's best for you. And as I've said a couple times, there were issues in the friendships that I never, ever brought up. To contrast with my 2 best friends, Anna and Michelle, I don't want to go into a lot of detail since you've been listening for a decent amount of time, and I appreciate it. But just to contrast, Melody in her book, she talks about open systems, open friendships. And with Anna and Michelle, instead of having dependence, we have had, and we have consciously and unconsciously provided each other with room to grow, expand, and a desire for each other to grow. Instead of total involvement, we've had separate interests, other friendships, and maintaining other meaningful friendships. Instead of preoccupation, we've had encouragement of each other's expanding, and we've felt secure in our own worth in the friendship. And instead of having jealousy, there's been trust and openness. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday or Friday, Michelle texted me something, and she was asking for help in a certain way. And I was like, oh, I want to help. I'm curious if I can help in this manner that is much more aligned with how I would love to help you. Was it hard to text her that? Yes. Did I pick at my nails slightly afterwards because I was afraid of the conflict? Yes. And do I trust that she can and our relationship can handle it? Yes. Which I don't, this small little boundary or request, it wasn't possible often in my mostly codependent friendships, best friendships. To conclude, what comes up for you as you hear about closed and open friendship systems? How does it relate to your friendships? Do you have a friendship boneyard? Any interest to reaching out to any of those people? If so, how come? If not, why not? How can you start to make more meaningful friendships by prioritizing the traits of open systems? How can you start to be your own best friend this week? And that is a wrap. My friendship boneyard. I will definitely be sharing about the other friendships in upcoming episodes. We are having the 1-year mark soon. I've committed to this for the next 5 years, so 4 more to go. Stay tuned for unpacking those friendships. I hope your friendship boneyard doesn't have as many bones as I have had, thanks to you listening to this episode, this podcast, attending your own therapy, and doing the work to improve your relationships, especially the one you have with yourself. I love you. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Take care. Hey girl, it's Marissa again. I'm not like a regular podcaster, I'm a cool podcaster, right? Thank you for listening and staying till the end. You can find me on Instagram at Therapy with Marissa. Email me, marissa@codependummy.com. Check out codependummy.com for more information on the show. And baby girl, a subscribe, rating, and review would be much appreciated. Till next time, I want you to remember, if you are feeling unseen, I see you. If you are feeling unheard, I hear you. And if you think that you don't matter, know that you matter to me. I want you to go out there so you can stop playing small and start taking up space, you dummy. And now, the disclaimer. Girl, this is not therapy and I am not your therapist. This podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regards to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, publisher, or guests are rendering any legal, clinical, or other professional service. If you want or need a professional, please find one.